A McLean County man will stay behind bars after losing his appeal over the alleged killing of his unborn child. The 4th Appellate Court upheld McLean County judge's decision to keep 32-year-old Emerson Evans in jail. The defense sought his release after a lack of prior criminal history, financial concerns, and the nature of the crime, plus the willingness to comply. Court documents show police were called August 22nd of last year to an apartment in South Bloomington, where they found a woman in the bathroom crying in a pool of blood with abortion pills nearby. The woman was 7 weeks pregnant and never intended to get an abortion, but said Evans wanted one. She claims Evans drugged her with pills. He originally denied this, but later admitted that he bought the pills to, quote, help make the decision for her. Now, if he's convicted, he faces 20 to 60 years, potentially life in prison. His next court date is June 4th.